All right. So welcome to remote learning and in-class learning with Pear Deck. The awesome thing about Pear Deck is that no matter what situation we're in, whether you're teaching for a virtual academy, whether you are in class someday, hopefully we will be back in class with all of our students with us. It's an awesome student engagement tool, or it just happens to be awesome for remote learning or hybrid learning. So no matter what your situation, Pear Deck is a simple and instructionally effective way to get the outcomes from your students that you want. And so we're really excited to show this to you today and prepare you for your future. So my name is Jena Cooper, and I am a regional partnership manager with Pear Deck. So I take care of a bunch of schools in a bunch of different states. Before I worked for Pear Deck, I was actually a high school technology coordinator at a local district here in Ohio, at a large district, Pickerington here in Ohio. And before that, I spent about 4 years as a blended and personalized consultant for districts across the Midwest. So this was my wheelhouse. This is what I did: blended learning, personalized learning, tech integration, and how to do that in meaningful ways for students and teachers. And so that is my wheelhouse. That's what I did. And so this fits perfectly. I have worked with over 80 technology programs, and Pear Deck was the most impressive to me all along the way, because my teachers, it was so easy for them to pick up and just use, but it was also super engaging for students, and they loved using it. And so that was the only reason that I was able to leave my comfortable position in my district and join into a company, and I've never looked back. So hopefully you will enjoy this as much as I have. Before we move on too much, I will say, is anybody a Twitterer in the house? Do I have any Twitterers? Yes? Okay, if you're a Twitterer, okay, you're gonna tweet at CoopTech05 and at Pear Deck, okay? So tag us both and your school. Does your Parma, you guys have one? Okay. So you're going to tag your school as well. Tag your school, CoopTech05 and Pear Deck. And I'm going to have you tweet out your favorite thing about the session today. And that would be awesome. So yes. And Rochelle just put her Twitter in there as well. So before we get too far into this, I just want to take 1 minute and tell you thank you. Thank you for all the work that you have done over the past few months in flipping your lives upside down between you and your students. My family has seen this from every aspect. My husband is a high school principal. Our kids are going into kindergarten and first grade. And I obviously work in ed tech with lots and lots of different schools, and we have seen this from every different angle. So, we just want to tell you thank you for all of the hard work that you are doing. Pear Deck as a company, we appreciate you so much as educators, and we are just hoping to be a tool to help make your lives easier and help you to engage your students from a distance. We know how hard you're working. We know how much effort you're putting into this, and we just thank you so much for everything that you're doing, seriously, from the bottom of our hearts. So I wanted to make sure to get that out there for you. All right, sappy over. Let's get to work. Everybody ready? Okay, so here's what we're going to do today. We're going to learn how to build a Pear Deck lesson in less than 5 minutes. How many of you would like to save time? Yeah, time is one of those things like I can never give teachers more of, but hopefully I can save you a little, okay? So we're gonna learn how to build a Pear Deck lesson in less than 5 minutes. We'll talk a little bit about a couple of best practices for video conferencing. We're going to explore the student and the teacher views. So you're actually going to get to join me as a student in Pear Deck, so you can kind of get what that looks like from the student side, so that you know what outcomes you're wanting from your students and what kind of questions to ask them. And then at the end, we'll have some time for Q&A, and you will get your assignment and start building, okay? So hopefully you're going to walk out of here with something that you can actually use. Is that amazing or what? Okay, so this is how we get started. We are in Google Slides. Okay, and we are going to start with just how to make our lessons interactive with the power of Pear Deck. Now, for this part, I just want you to watch and learn and take some notes, okay? Just watch, just learn, just take some notes, and we're gonna do this together a little bit later, okay? But step one, notice we're in this familiar environment, and let me point out one thing to you, my 2 video conferencing tips. Okay, we're gonna just do 2 of them because y'all are meeting with your students virtually. You're gonna be doing some video conferencing with them. One of them is, guys, like, nobody cares where my retirement comes from, right? So always go up if you can and hide your bookmarks. See how much that cleans up my screen, and it's less distracting for your students, okay? The other question is, how many of you are 80,000 tabbers? Yeah, I see you raising your hands, right? 80,000 tabs. You currently have 20 at least open right now, okay? So I at least have minimized my 80,000 tabs and pulled out the one that I need for my students, okay? Because otherwise they're gonna look at all those tabs and they're gonna wonder what all you're doing, and it will be really distracting for them, okay? So we are now in Google Slides. This is a familiar environment. How many of you have existing Google Slides that you use, or you know how to use Google Slides? Just give me a thumbs up to your camera. Okay, all of you just did that. At least the 30 screens that I can see, all of you just said, yes, I have Google Slides. So the great news is, if you know how to use Google Slides, you are already like 85% of the way there to learning how to use Pear Deck. Okay, it's going to work within and in conjunction with your Google Slides. So step one is how to open it, right? We just want to open the add-on. So it is an add-on and an extension. If you get the extension, it puts Pear Deck right here in your menu bar, and it also allows your GIFs and animations to work in your slides. So that's really fun. But for now, what we're going to do is go to add-ons, Pear Deck for Google Slides add-on, and open the Pear Deck add-on. Okay, now your school district should have pushed this out to you. So when you do this later, it should be there. If not, all you have to do is go to add-ons, get add-ons, and then it will pull right up. It'll be like one of the first ones to come up and install. Okay, so add-ons, get add-ons, or go to Pear Deck for Google Slides add-on, and you will see that it opens right here on the right-hand side of my screen within Google Slides. Okay, so our second step, step one complete, check, done, easy peasy, right? The second step is to actually add the interactive slides, either from our library or create your own custom questions, okay? So let's talk about our library first, all right? Our template library. Guys, at Pear Deck, our CEO, Riley, and his wife, Michael, quit teaching to create Pear Deck because they saw a need for every single student to have a voice. We know education, we know good pedagogy and instruction, and pre-made lessons from other places are not necessarily vetted and good content. Does that make sense? Like the 6th grade math teacher in Georgia might have completely different standards than the 6th grade math teacher in Ohio. And sometimes it takes more time to vet through those and which ones are good questions than it does just to create your lesson and customize it for your class. So we have already put up here lessons and templates that are good for the beginning, during, and the end of the lesson, critical thinking, social emotional learning, and then example questions for any subject area. Pear Deck for littles. Yeah, how many of you are K through 2 and like technology never works for me? They can't do it. Yes, they can. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. So even Pear Deck for littles, but if you're high school, math, science, middle school, social studies, world languages, ELA, it is for every single subject, every single grade level. Do I have any music or art or PE teachers in here? Yeah, it's for you too. It is not just for core content. So this can be used for everybody. Actually, one of our largest users of Pear Deck in the world is a band director. So it really can be used completely across the board for every grade level, every subject area. So let's say that this is an existing set of slides. Okay, this is an existing presentation. You guys said you already have one that you use with your kiddos, and I want to add a bell ringer or a warm up, or I'm getting to know my kids virtually, so I need to do an icebreaker or something to get to know them, whatever it is. I'm going to go over here and click on the beginning of lesson, and it's going to pull up a bunch of my different Pear Deck templates that I can use, like drawer type 2 things you already know about today's topic. One of our teachers posted on Twitter the other day, she did math problems for her students to find out information about her. She was a math teacher, and they had to solve problems to find out how old she is, how old her daughter is, how many years she's been teaching. And then they had to draw type 2 things they learned about her. So that was really cool. So Twitter is a great resource too, because I learn stuff every day from there. All right, but for today's intents and purposes, I'm going to use this one. What do you wonder about today's topic? Okay, so if I want to use this in my presentation, all I have to do is click on it. I don't even have to double click. All right, so you happy clickers out there, just one click will do it, okay? And then I'm gonna wait for the internet to do its thing, let it think a second, and boom, up pops my template. Now I can edit this in any way that I want and customize it for my class. So I might say, what do you wonder about Pear Deck, right? Okay, I can do anything to this slide now and manipulate it as if I created it from scratch. So check this out. How many of you have your own Bitmojis? Yeah, you all got these huge grins on your face too. Like, yes, I'm so proud of my Bitmojis. Okay. I will eventually get 5 minutes to myself where I can create mine. So you could take that guy out and put your own Bitmoji in and personalize it like that. I said it would take me 20 minutes just to figure out how to put the cool cloud and the blue background on there, right? Use it, edit it, and do whatever you want to it to make it your own. That's what they're there for. The other set of slides that and this is not an exhaustive list of our templates, and we're always coming out and releasing new templates all the time, and teachers put things on Twitter all the time. But one of the sets I want to point out is our social emotional learning slides. Guys, over the past 4 months, we have all been through some kind of trauma, including our students. And it's going to be more important than ever to connect with them socially and emotionally and see how they're doing. So a lot of my teachers in the spring would put this in like once a week on their Monday check-in, like what filled your bucket and what drained it this weekend. Talk about getting some of those intrinsic thinking things and those soft skills for students. You could do a stress check and you could edit this to say, are you ready for the test on Friday? Yes, maybe, and heck no. And maybe your heck no students, you got 3 students who answered, I am not ready at all. And you're going to pull them together in a small group instruction. You've got your differentiation like that, super fast, that you can get that differentiation group, pull them aside and work with them. So that's kind of an overview of the templates. Also, I will say, if you're a math teacher, don't limit yourself only to math. Science might have some slides that you can use. World languages actually has a great fill in the blank template. So those are great ways to explore through all of those. All right. The next option that we were going to talk about is how to create a custom slide, okay? A custom slide. You said you have some that are existing. Maybe you have a picture that you used to put up on your smartboard and you used to have one student come up and circle the red leaves, right? Or maybe you have a picture of a cell up and you have the student come up to circle where the cell wall is. You're getting that formative assessment from that one student that comes to the board, right? Demonstrating for everybody else, but I'm getting that assessment from one student. Now I've seen the power of Pear Deck and I want to get every student's opinion. Maybe I'm asking a question like this, like, does every student deserve a voice? Do you agree or disagree? In a classroom, I might be afraid to have my opinion heard, but I want to get this from every single student. So here are all of our different types of slides. Open-ended response, multiple choice, number slides, website slides, we'll dig into that a little bit later, drawing, and draggable, okay? If I want my students to circle agree if they agree and disagree if they disagree, what type of slide am I going to turn this into? Somebody just type it in the chat. Draw. Perfect, Megan. Great. All right, so I'm gonna click on draw. Are you ready? This is where I can save you some time. I have to make this thing interactive. I need to be able to connect with my students from a distance. All I have to do is click on draw, watch Perry do his little dance, and boom, this is now a drawing slide. And you will get to see what that looks like here in just a little bit. Cool? Give me a thumbs up if that's cool. All right, awesome. All right, the last little thing I want to show you before we dive in as students into a Pear Deck lesson is one of our new features that we just released this summer. One of our most requested features was to be able to add audio to a slide. Have any of you tried to add audio to a Google slide? If you haven't, it's because it's nearly impossible. It's like you have to record in a program, download, upload, embed. It's really complicated. So this is our new add audio to slides. So any of my music teachers or social studies teachers, if you're working on Martin Luther King's speech or anything that you want them to listen to, maybe you have a recording of Mo Willems reading the Piggy and Elephant books, anything like that, okay? So check this out. You can upload an audio file if you have something you need them to listen to. Or I can just record. I could read it out loud to my students. I could even just give them directions. So for this part, I'm just gonna give them directions. Hey guys, you are doing an awesome job so far. So for the next 7 slides, I just want you to answer, pick 3 of them to answer. You don't have to answer all of them, but just do your best. Pick out 3 or 4 of them to answer. You're doing a great job. Keep up the great work. Done. Save. Add audio. That's it. All I have to do, I can play it back, I can repeat it, and then it gives me this visual signal that there is now audio on this slide, okay? If you teach any grade level, sometimes students aren't very aware of their surroundings, right? So if you really want to make it obnoxiously huge to show them that there is audio on this slide, all right? So if you want to shout it out them, make sure that they don't miss it, you can make it obnoxiously huge. And just because it's early in the morning, we're going to go ahead and go with that today. So we don't miss that there's audio on that slide, okay? But you can make it really tiny, put it down in a corner, any of that, okay? That's it, guys. We just did steps 1 and 2. It took a little longer than 5 minutes because I was talking you through it, but I promise if you're doing that on your own, you could probably do it in about 2 minutes. The last step is to actually present the lesson from the present lesson or the start lesson button. Okay, so you're going to use this green lesson button. Don't use the white Google one. If you click here, you're just going to get regular old Google Slides. Does everybody understand that? And I also want to say, this will make sense later. This is going to create a new unique code for your students to join. So if you have 3 periods of science class, you're going to do this 3 times. Does that make sense to everybody? So if you have 3 separate classes, you want to keep their data separated by class period, you're going to create 3 different codes, 1 for each class, okay? There's an easier way to do it on peardeck.com, and I'll show you that later. So I'm going to click on Start Lesson, and the way that you know you did this correctly is it's going to ask you, do you want to do a student-paced activity or an instructor-paced activity? So you can use this for asynchronous or synchronous learning. Okay, so student-paced, you can actually go in. I know if you're using Google Classroom, so you can actually assign it directly into Google Classroom once you click this. Okay, you can give them the code, you can give them the link, and you'll see all of those options here in a minute. For today's intents and purposes, I'm gonna do an instructor-paced activity. Okay, now I started presenting and Zoom probably went to full screen. Is that correct for you? Your Zoom screen went to full screen on your computer. That is fine. Watch this. I'm going to click instructor paced activity. And if you are on your Zoom screen, if you just hit escape, it will take it out of full screen. Okay. And there's going to be 2 ways. Now, if I'm doing a live session with my students, all right, let me show you this first way first. Okay. If I'm doing a live session with my students, I have them get into our Google Meet or our Zoom meeting first. Okay. Let me hide this screen for a second. I have them get into our Google Meet meeting or a Zoom meeting first, and then I click on Give Students a Link, okay? So I'm just gonna click on Give Students a Link, make sure that it copies, and then I'm gonna paste it in the chat. And then you can just click on that link and join from there. So hit escape and get out of the Zoom screen. You can click on there, or if you have a cell phone or an iPad nearby and you want to join on there, you can join on from your cell phone or iPad by going to joinpd.com, joinpd.com, and entering the code LNDUU. Lovely ninjas drive underwhelmed umbrellas. Now, if you have my Zoom screen and you're joining from both on the desktop, I just recommend that you kind of minimize your Zoom screen like that and join on the student screen from a browser like this. So you have the screens next to each other. Does that make sense to everybody? If you're real fancy and know how to do split screen, you can do split screen, okay? So there are 56 of you in this meeting, and I'm hoping to get every single one of you into my class, and you can see that I have 16 students connected so far. Okay. And I'm going to put my Zoom screen a little bit smaller so I will only be able to see 10 of your faces, and you don't know which 10 you are. So there you go. So you got to give me some feedback here because you might be one of the 10 I'm relying on here. Okay. So you're going to pull this up, 21 of you connected. Let's see if we can get at least to 40 before we move on. Okay. So you're going to go to joinpd.com. This is the fun part where you get to be a student. Okay. So don't leave me. Go to joinpd.com. I'm actually going to join as a student myself so that I can show you the student screen. So this way, if anybody's watching the recording, you'll be able to see what the student screen looks like as well. All right, I am in. Got it. I've got 32 of you connected. The link is there. The joinpd.com code is there. Go ahead and enter. Once you're in as a student, you can go ahead and start answering this question. So we have 2 screens, right? You're going to have your Zoom screen, which is my teacher screen, okay? Or a classroom view, our projector screen, okay? And then we have your student screen where you logged in as a student, okay? So the code is right above where you typed that, LNDUU. I will pull that back up here for a second too. LNDUU. So type in joinpd.com, enter the code LNDUU, or click on the link and you can join from there, okay? Start answering this question. Awesome, you all are doing amazing. I've got 48 of you connected, perfect. LNDUU. Okay, So come on in, keep typing. This one's cracking me up. Do you know there's a show where teens walk around with pear-shaped phones instead of apples? No, but I need to know what the show is because I feel like this needs to be our theme show. How did you get the Pear Deck icon on your actual Google Slides? I'll show you that here in a little bit. That's through the power up that we talked about. Is this going to be easy to use? How can I incorporate Pear Deck authentically into my classes? Absolutely. How to create it, just how to use it with Google Classroom. I want to learn to use a new resource. Good for you. Yes, my people. Teachers, always learning. That's awesome. So can Pear Deck interactive questions be added to existing slide presentations? So you saw that already, right? I had an existing slide presentation. One of the slides I turned into a drawing slide just by clicking that one drawing button. Can you add videos? Yes. Don't steal my thunder. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. All right. How to best manage Google Meet while sharing the Pear Deck at the same time. Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit today. Absolutely. Google Meet is actually really easy because they just are going to have two tabs next to each other. So that's awesome. How can I use it as a co-teacher? Can I sanitize it? Haha. All right. Basics, best times to use for gifted students. Awesome. Can I use it with EL students? Yes, you're going to be really excited later. We're going to talk about a couple things. I just need to know how it works. How does it work with high school math? Is it similar to Edpuzzle? Well, we'll talk about that. We actually work really well with Edpuzzle, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So can I use it with my first graders? Yes, you can. All right. So we'll talk about all of these different things. Hopefully I will talk about all of your different wonders and answer them as we go through today. Awesome. So your next student question right now is to answer how much you know about Pear Deck. Okay, once you've answered this on your student screen, if you're flipping back and forth, I want you to come to my Zoom screen and just give me a thumbs up to your camera or type a yes when you're back. Okay, awesome. Perfect. Just make sure you're watching my screen. Do you guys see these coming in live and in real time, right? This is a student multiple choice question. Okay, so I'm just gonna flip over to the student screen, okay? You guys, when you're teaching, do not have to go from projector screen to student screen and all of that, okay? So I'm just showing you for intents and purposes of how this works. So the student screen looks like this, and maybe I use it and love it, and then my answer has now been recorded, okay? So you can see these, this is kind of like a polling feature where you can poll your students, you can do it that way. Guys, if A, B, and C are all incorrect and D is the only right answer, do I need to reteach this to my class? Yeah, everybody got it wrong except one person, okay? If it's flip-flopped, if D is the wrong answer and A, B, and C are all correct, do I need to reteach this to my class? No, everybody got it but that one student. And guys, this is completely anonymous. So when I'm showing this to my class, remember, this is the screen that you're sharing with students, right? You can share just this tab when you're doing this live in Google Meet, okay? This is quick formative assessment to inform your instruction. I now know I do not have to reteach this concept to my class. Only one student got it wrong. Nobody knows who that student is, and nobody knows who that student is except for me as the teacher, okay? I can see that Jena, that's me, uses it and loves it, okay? I can see that Kelly, Megan, Michelle, Nicholas, Rachel, Sarah, Shelly, Stephanie, and Therese all have tried it out. But how do I know that? Are you ready for this? Everybody ready? Are you ready? Okay, so I have this secret screen hiding over here. And this is technically, it's called the teacher dashboard, okay? But I like to call it my teacher superpower, okay? This is totally your teacher superpower because check it out. I'm getting all of the responses and I can actually just hover over and see how every student responded, okay? So I can see this coming in live and in real time. And I can also see who didn't answer. Okay, sorry to call you all out. Okay, I can also see who didn't answer. All right, so this is a great way to do that. So I can show and hide responses. So here's some of your tools down here at the bottom. All right, so I can show and hide the responses to the class from here. This is like my Pear Deck remote control. Okay, I can lock and unlock the screens. We'll talk about that later. I can add a new prompt. We'll talk about that later too. I have 3 dots, can end a session. And it is the same tools that you have over here on the projector screen. Okay. Let me give you a visual of this. Will that help you? Okay. Imagine life is happy. We are back in the classroom with all of our students as life intended, right? Okay. You have 3 different views of Pear Deck. Okay. 3 different views of Pear Deck. The first one is called what would this be called? Bueller. Anybody? Student view. Great, Holly. Perfect. Okay, this is the student view. The student has the student screen. I'm going to show you what that looks like. I'm just going to click over and show you the student screen where they have the Google slide on the left-hand side and the place to answer. In an open-ended response, this is just a blank box for them to type into, okay? And you'll see the student screen as we go through a bunch of different things, okay? So we have the student view. Then this one that you're looking at right now, okay? This is the projector view or the classroom view, okay? Your computer is hooked up to the projector. You are presenting this lesson to everyone. And when I show the responses, they are completely anonymous. Does everybody understand that? In an online environment, this is your Google Meet screen. Now, oftentimes I will have students join as a student and then they can hear me and everything, but they don't need to be on our Google Meet screen or flip back and forth very much. But really with Google Meet, you have a tab, and with Pear Deck, once they join the session, they have another tab. It's 2 tabs to toggle between. My son did it in kindergarten last year with no issue. Okay, so they can toggle back between 2 tabs. They have a student screen and a Google Meet screen. Okay. So when you're in an online environment, you may want to just share this screen, okay? When I am physically in the classroom, I am usually trying to log on to the dashboard, the teacher superpower screen. That's how I would like you to refer to it at your school, okay? The teacher superpower. I might put a petition in that it changes the name, okay? So I am gonna log in from an iPad, a cell phone, any other device that I can get my hands on, just so I can be untethered from my computer, because I don't like presenting and being tethered to my computer. So you can actually log into that dashboard from anything else. Actually, right now, if I didn't have to show you that screen and I'm doing an online meeting with you, I might connect to that dashboard from my cell phone or an iPad here. So I just have it right in front of me and I don't have to toggle back and forth. You do not have to have a second device. You can simply have it in another window or another tab. Easy peasy, okay? So that's the teacher views. That's the different views as a teacher from the dashboard. Now let's check out what this looks like when you're looking at individual responses. So I projected these answers to my class and they are completely anonymous. How many of you have kids in your class who are too shy to talk out loud? Every last one of you has students who are too shy to talk out loud. You start using something like this where there's no risk and they can't see who said what, you're making a difference. You are giving those students a chance to have a voice and a platform, okay? Notice these are all completely anonymous. What if, this is a way that I love using this screen. Have any of you ever had Joey and Jesse in the same class who are sworn enemies and don't get along? Yeah, if you've taught for any amount of time, you've had that happen too, right? I've got Joey on this side of the room and Jesse on this side of the room. What if I put all of these answers up on the board? I ask Joey to pick one and he picks Jesse's as his favorite to read out loud. That starts to break down some of these walls. Like Jesse's over there like, Joey, pick my answer. What the heck? He doesn't even like me. So you can actually start to build a culture and climate in your classroom of positivity and empathy through instruction. So it's a really, really good way to do that. But here's what I have on the teacher dashboard. So notice every answer over here is anonymous, right? On the teacher dashboard, I have 5 things. I have 5 different things that I don't have on the projector screen, right? I have 5 things on my teacher superpower. So I have your name, I have a star, a chat box, and 3 dots, okay? I have a star, a chat box, 3 dots, and your name. And one other thing is on this screen that I didn't mention. What is it? Type it in the chat. One other thing. It's on the left. Emoji! Yes, your emoji. How many of you answered honestly when you came into the lesson today and it said, how are you feeling today? Yeah, you didn't even think about it, did you? Right? And some of y'all answered honestly because you're not happy, okay? It's 9 a.m. I got to go sit in a PD, okay? So I can see how all of my class is feeling. Guys, it may have seemed like such a simple thing, but it is a great social emotional insight into your class. If I walk into my class and 25 out of my 30 kids have red and yellow faces, I am not doing a deep dive into a brand new math concept, right? I'm going to do something to get my kids ready for learning. I'm going to do a go noodle dance. I'm going to do an icebreaker. I'm going to do a warm up or throw in a bell ringer, something to get them ready for learning. On the other hand, you all have those kids who are going to come into your classroom and be like, I need a virtual hug. My dog died last night and I cannot handle myself today. I will not be participating in class, right? You have those kids that are going to say that. Shake your head yes if you know you have those kids, all right? You are also going to have those kids that come in with huge burdens on their shoulders that are never going to say a word. So if I walk into my class and I have one kid with a red face, I'm going to be checking in with that student. I may not ask them directly, like, I saw you had a red face, because I don't want to ruin that, right? I might just say, hey, are you doing okay today? Maybe they need some extra love. Maybe you need to call out their answer as a great answer or something like that during class just to give them a little bit of extra encouragement. So here are the other things. Obviously, I can see your name with them. And then let's say I can see everything coming in live and in real time before I show the answers to the class. You guys see that? So I always have the answers up here. And then this one is just showing the screen on the projector screen. So the class only sees this screen, but I as the teacher can monitor these as they're coming in live and in real time, okay? So maybe I'm gonna star these and say, Brenda, great answer, Laura, great answer, and Teresa, great answer, okay? So as they're coming in, as the students are working, I'm finding these out. And then when I go to show the responses to the rest of the class, those are the only 3 that show up. So if I have 30 kids in a class, we don't have time to talk about every single answer, okay? We don't have time to talk about all of them. I can star my 3 exemplary answers to share with the class. Or what if I'm a math teacher? Maybe I'm gonna put 2 right and 1 wrong answers up there. And rather than the wrong answer being red X, you got it wrong, I can say, okay, class, let's do some reverse thinking and let's figure out where they messed up in the equation and see if we can figure out where that is and help them fix it. Talk about opening up that risk-taking of being wrong. It's not I was wrong. It was I'm practicing and I'm gonna get better. And we're as a class going to help each other get better. So that's a great way to utilize that feature. So I can clear off these stars. And then the other thing I can do, okay, Brenda answered first. Brenda, can you be our troublemaker in our class today? Can anybody verify that Brenda is a troublemaker? I see some grins. So give me a head shake if Brenda's our troublemaker in our class. Okay, so Brenda's our troublemaker in our class. Thanks, Brenda, for volunteering before you knew that. I see all of these answers coming in, and Brenda has said something inappropriate about a classmate. Everybody goes, ooh, right? Brenda said something inappropriate about a classmate. Or, goodness forbid, we're on a drawing screen and Brenda has drawn something inappropriate on her screen, okay? If I am physically in the classroom, I'm gonna walk over. Remember, I'm untethered with the dashboard on my mobile device, okay? I'm gonna walk over to Brenda. I'm gonna give her a little tap on the shoulder. I'm gonna say, Brenda, fix your answer. That's not appropriate. Before anybody else sees it or anybody even knows what's going on, I'm gonna nip it in the bud. Okay. If you're in an online environment and you can't do that, or maybe you can't get to her right away, I can actually just click and hide her response. So I clicked on the 3 dots and clicked hide response. And now watch what happens when I show responses. Rochelle's is now the first one that pops up. Okay, did you see that? So all I had to do was click on the 3 dots. Now, I know Brenda's a good kid and she's gonna fix her answer because she doesn't want to take a screenshot and she doesn't want me to take a screenshot and send to mom and dad. So she's fixed her answer and now I can just show her response and it's gonna pop right back up on the screen. Okay, so it gives her a chance to fix that, all right? So the last little feature here in the teacher screen. Now, I'm gonna switch to my student screen again and answer as a student, okay? So don't pay attention. Just watch this out and I'm just gonna say, how amazing are our teachers? Okay, that's my answer to that one, okay? So I've answered Oz as student. Remember, I flipped over to the student screen here just so you could see it. And now I see that Jena's answer is the last one that came in. Does everybody see that? I know that Jena's answer is the last one that came in. I now want to leave Jena feedback. So check this out. All I have to do is click on the bubble to leave feedback and I can say, great thought. Can you expand on that idea? Maybe I want to say, oh, great job, but check step 3 of your equation. Maybe I want to say, go a little further east for your guess. Refer to paragraph 2, Refer to slide 4. Whatever it is, I can go in and leave them feedback. Watch my student screen back here. Remember, I put my student screen back here. Watch what happens. Send feedback. Boom. Did you guys see that? Like within milliseconds. But all right, you have feedback. So now as the student, I can go to my student screen. I can click on here and I can see my teacher's feedback and mark it as read. Okay, and then I can go in and fix my answer or whatever. Okay, so I can respond to my teacher's feedback. Cool? Now you can do this in a live lesson or in asynchronous. So maybe you're doing a live lesson with them and then you're gonna go leave them feedback afterwards. Then you can turn it on student pace mode and have them go in later and check it. But that's why this is called the teacher superpower, because I've got the power. All right, so you guys with me? Too early? Okay, so that's the power of the teacher dashboard, okay? All right, let's have a little bit of fun here, and I would love for you to go to your student screen right now and circle agree if you agree and disagree if you disagree. Does every student deserve a voice? Okay, and I'm gonna show on my screen what this looks like for the students, just for anybody that isn't able to be here live today and is recording, so I can change the size of my brush. You guys, the things that are coming out from students on these slides are incredible. The drawings that they're coming up with are just immaculate. They're insane. If you check out Twitter, it's awesome. So I can circle that. I can change the color. I can change the size of my brush. I also have a highlighter tool, okay? So does anybody do annotating text? Part of literacy across all subjects, okay? So check this out. I could do, imagine I have a paragraph on this screen and I want them to highlight what they would change in the paragraph and do that. So maybe instead of deserves, I would type, and then there's a typing tool. I would type does deserve. Deserver, deserve. Okay? I can extend this box if I want it to be a little bit bigger, and I can move it around. I just annotated text on a Pear Deck slide. Sweet, right? Okay, so they can do that. They could do, this is how you could do fill in the blank. So if I'm doing a fill in the blank, maybe I want to say, you know, which one do you think should be where, whatever, you can just move that letter to fill in the blank, okay? So lots of different ways to do that. There's an eraser tool, there's a line tool. So if you have them labeling the parts of something, you could have them label a line and then, you know, do a text box, okay? So that they can do all of that, all right? Now I'm gonna click back on my projector screen so you can see that. Okay, and now I'm showing all of the responses in a mighty overlay. Everybody see that? Okay, all of you unanimously agreed that every student deserves to have a voice. As one of my teachers said one time, every student deserves a voice, just some of them need a volume button, right? That might have been me when I was a kid. I was probably the one that needed a volume button. Okay, so every student does absolutely deserve to have a voice. And so all of you agreed. I can see that by laying your responses on top of each other, okay? So the next slide I want to show you, is, what about this one? This one's a little harder. Is every student heard? Is every student heard? Yeah, Jessica, I'm going to help you out here in just a second. Brenda, I just saw your comment. She said, I'm a really bad artist, so it could happen that she drew something inappropriate on the screen by accident. Awesome. Something new showed up on your screen just that time. What was it? What was it? A timer. Yes. So you can set a timer for your slides as well. And then what happened after the timer went off? Your screen was locked. So yes, Jessica was asking, can you stop them from drawing when you show the responses so you don't get these constant doodles? Yes. So at the bottom of your screen, see this magic lock and unlock button? I can lock and unlock your slides at will. If I press and hold the lock button, it will give me a 30-second, 1 minute, or 3-minute timer that I could set for the slide for them to work. Okay, it's a great way to build in some wait time, because it's really hard to give wait time, especially when you're doing an online session. So this is a great way to build in wait time, to have that ready for your students, and all of that. Cool? So lock and unlock at will. I recommend, if you're doing a true formative assessment of your students, that you lock the screens before you show them, because that way they can't drag their dot to match everybody else's. They can't draw a circle where everybody else did. You're getting a true formative assessment of each individual student, every single student. Now, here's the problem. Some of you agree, some of you disagree, and some of you are in the middle. This is my next slide, and I'm not ready to go there yet. Okay, that's my next slide. I'm not ready to go there yet. I want to know why you agree, why you disagree, or why are you in the middle? Have any of you ever wanted to change course in the middle of a lesson, but you didn't have the slide built in to do it? I want to get a temperature check online, to do a temperature check with your students, just to be able to see, like, are you doing okay? Are you not? That's invaluable. So check this out. We built that in for you. Check this out. If you click on new prompt, does everybody see new prompt down here in the bottom right-hand corner? Everybody see that? If I click on new prompt, it's going to pull up a bunch of those different templates that we talked about earlier. So if I forgot to put a bell ringer in, you can drop one of these in, okay? If you came in during the class, if you're during the class and you want to ask them, do you feel comfortable sharing your thoughts out loud right now? How great of a question is that? Then I know which kiddo to unmute or mute or whatever. Maybe I forgot an exit ticket and I really want to do that. Reflect on the activities today. Draw or type 2 things that you learned. I like this one because we're doing these, we're doing all of these different activities that we're trying out. So get that feedback from your students. What did you like? What didn't you like? What could I have done better? We're all learning in this environment. Then we have all these different ones: open-ended response, multiple choice, number slides, drawing a picture. You can even drop in a Venn diagram, which is awesome. All right. But if I want to do a quick temperature check of my students, all I have to do is click here on temperature check and whoops, wrong button. Boom, it drops right into my presentation. Now, don't go to your student screen. Just stay right on my screen. Okay. That's it. Stay on my screen because I'm going to go to my student screen. Everybody see this? This is my student screen. I want to show you something. Okay. So check this out. The students can drag the dot, which you could do here in a little bit. Okay. But stay here. How many of you noticed the book with the speaker icon in the bottom right-hand corner? Did any of you notice that? Did anybody notice that? Half of you are shaking your head yes, and half of you are shaking your head no. Let me pull it up so you can see it. Right here, the speaker with the speaker button. This is called immersive reader. When I click on that, it is going to open up this whole new world where I can play it and I can hear and it will read the slide out loud. If you are working with students with severe autism, sometimes they respond better to a male versus a female voice even. So you can change the voice. You can change the speed of how it's reading, okay? You can click here and change the text preferences. If you're working with students who are visually impaired, you can change the size of the text. You can change the font. Kids love Comic Sans, put it in Comic Sans, okay? So here's the other thing. This was actually built for students with dyslexia. So sometimes a different color in the background can help them translate the letters in a better way. And so you can do that, okay? The next one over are the parts of speech. So I could actually even turn on syllables, nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, and see the different parts of speech and do some close reading with my students. And then this last piece, somebody was asking about EL students earlier. This will actually, for students with ADHD, super problems with focus and things like that. Trust me, I know, I've grown up with it my whole life and my son has it now. All right, we're struggling with ADHD. They can do this line focus where they can read through line by line. Now, imagine a paragraph on a screen. That comes in really, really handy, okay? And then we will translate into over 80 languages, including some of those different dialects that you may never have heard of that students come with. And how am I going to reach their family? A lot of them are in here. So if I just change this to Spanish, okay, I have it translated by word. Now check this out. All I have to do is click on the word and it will read me the English, the Spanish, and give me even a picture dictionary to start relating those words together. All right, so do obviously doesn't have a picture dictionary, but temperature, check. So the English, the Spanish, and a picture dictionary. Isn't that cool? You guys, for spec ed and EL students, this is an absolute game changer. You can also translate it by document so that the whole document comes up at one time in Spanish if that's their native language and they don't speak much English. They can start here and then just get the English translation, okay? So they can use that a ton of different ways. Now, here's what I would say. If you have students who need this feature, okay, this is for you as a teacher. This is either on or off for all of your students. If you have students who need this feature, I would do a small group instruction with them to show them how to use it. Okay, and get all of their settings set, because every time they log into Pear Deck, it will save their settings. Okay, so if they have English with Mrs. Miller and Spanish with Mr. Horn and social studies with Mr. Ross, whatever it is, every time they log into Pear Deck, it will save their settings. Okay, so they don't have to go in and set this every time. So do a small group instruction, small training session with them, if you will, and they will be off and running. And then when they're ready to go back to the normal slide, they just click back and they are back in. Cool. So Pear Deck does give every student a voice and every teacher deeper insight into every student's learning, not just your 3 kids who raise their hand all the time. It is an incredible, incredible tool to use with your students and engage them from a distance. So I'm going to recap the views of Pear Deck real quick. Okay, everybody, we're going to recap the different views of Pear Deck. So in an asynchronous lesson, so if I'm doing this in student paced, the students are just going to have the student view, and the teachers are just going to have that teacher superpower, right? You don't need the anonymous projector screen if they're doing it all in asynchronous mode. Okay, so the teacher has the teacher superpower screen, the students have the student screen, and then if I'm doing a live session, I'm just adding in that projector screen that we both can see with all the anonymous answers. Does that help simplify that a little bit for you? Okay, perfect. All right, so let me go back here. I was still on my student screen, so you could see that they were just seeing. So there are 3 views of Pear Deck, but there are also 3 ways to use Pear Deck. Okay, so we have instructor paced, right? So we started there with instructor paced. What's the second way to use Pear Deck? We talked about it, and hint, hint, it's on the screen. Instructor paced, student paced, thank you. And the third way to use Pear Deck, which is actually my favorite way to use Pear Deck, the third way to use Pear Deck is actually to toggle between the 2. So I have a high school science teacher that I used to work with a lot, and he would do so in the spring, he would do a Zoom or a Google Meet with a bunch of his students, and he would introduce the new content to them, right? You don't have them for an hour and a half at a time on a Zoom meeting generally, right? So he would take that time he had face-to-face with them and introduce the new content to them face-to-face or screen to screen, okay? Then in the rest of the deck, he would have all the practice built in. So worksheets, science labs, videos, resources, all of that would be into the rest. And then after they finished their session together, he would turn it into student pace mode and allow them to just work through it the rest of the week. Then you can even bring them back together on Friday to review and how everything went and answer any questions. So it's a really, really great way to use this resource. So check this out. In order to turn it into student pace mode, my friend Nick says there's always fun things hiding behind 3 dots, or the skinny snowman, or the meatball, whatever you call that. I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to click on turn on student pace mode. Okay, so super easy. 3 dots, turn on student pace mode. And when I do that, it's going to warn me and say, look out, you're letting them loose. I'm going to say, okay, I got it. And now I'm going to flip back to my student screen. I want to show you from the student screen. When you go to your student screen, you now have arrows where you can scroll through these slides at your own pace. And on the right side at the bottom, you'll also see the headphones. They can click on that and play your audio. The immersive reader and the feedback buttons are all there. Okay? So that's what I'm going to have you do right now, is spend about 2 minutes, okay? Spend about 2 minutes, and I want you to go work through these slides in student pace mode while we listen to some jams. An everlasting love with Pear Deck. Carolyn, I just put the code back in there if you need to hop back in as a student. You're welcome. Sorry, I didn't see that earlier. And if you listen to the directions, sometimes I can put in there a stop sign. Yes, they can scroll beyond the stop sign, but I will usually give that as a visual cue that they need to stop at the stop sign. All right, about 30 seconds to finish up. We'll play musical Pear Deck. When the song ends, we'll stop. Now, if you can, I want you to go to the website slide. Can you go to the website slide? It's slide 21. It's the one right before the stop sign and after the nouns. All right, our song has ended. Okay, so I want to show you a little tidbit really quickly. And that is that from the teacher dashboard while you're working, I can see how many of you are on which slides. So I can see that one person is actually still back at the beginning and didn't do any of them, okay? Or I can see that two people are still on the math slide. And I can actually click on the names of the people that are on these slides. I've got 4 people on the stop sign and I can see who's on the stop sign, okay? So I have the ability to click and see which students are on which slides. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So that's a really cool tool. Now, when I'm ready to stop student paste mode, and I'm going to click stop student paste mode, and it will bring you right to the screen that I'm on. So the student screen is going to come right back to the screen that I'm on when I'm ready for their attention. Now, did you guys check out this website slide? Check this out. Did you check out the website slide? It is a fully functional website. I can click on any of these links and notice that I am not leaving Pear Deck. I am not opening another tab. It is all functional directly in Pear Deck. And by the way, if you haven't checked out our blog, it's amazing. If you want good inspirational educational stuff that's not filled with just jargon, go check it out. They're amazing. I love this one. Self-care, putting your oxygen mask on first. Go read this. You all need it, okay? Taking care of yourself. So this is a fully functional website. You guys, how many of you use video in your classrooms? This is where you embed a video as well. How many of you are going to be doing Screencastify videos? Yeah, you click embed and then you put it into a Pear Deck slide. Are you using any programs like Flipgrid, Quizlet, Quizzes, Kahoot, Edpuzzle? Any of those things, those can actually be embedded into a Pear Deck slide. So imagine your students are going to 20 different places to get 20 different things like we were in the spring, right? We all were just trying to keep our head above water. I, as a parent, had to go 20 different places to get 20 different things. The district site to get this and make sure that I'm clicking on this link to see if it's a video or a sheet I have to print out. And then I had to take a picture. I had to take a picture of every paper he did and submit it in Class Dojo. And then it took me 20 minutes just to do one paper. We had to draw 3 lines, right? To print it out, take a picture, submit it, and all of those things. It was a mess. So I said, listen, we can do this in Pear Deck. So you can put your read aloud. If you're a kindergarten teacher, put your read aloud in the first slide. Put a screenshot of a couple of PDFs in the second and third and turn them into drawing and draggable slides. All right. And then after that, you could have a brain pop video followed by a follow-up question. Then you could do a couple of drawing and draggable assessment questions. Then at the end, you could throw in a Flipgrid for them to reflect on their week. And what if you took this and you labeled each slide in the top left-hand corner, Monday, 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 Tuesday, 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 Wednesday, Wednesday, Wednesday. So they know what days were recommended to do what slides. It can totally change the world and become the hub of all of your remote learning. Isn't that exciting? One place for you, one place for your parents. You assign that Pear Deck in Google Classroom and they are off and running, okay? So it's really, really powerful. So we're gonna do one more thing before we leave the student pace mode and we go into kind of our Q&A and workshop. So the last couple things that I have to show you is how to end a lesson and look at your data. Cool, kind of important things to do, right? So we're gonna end a lesson. We're gonna look at your data so that you have how to get to all of this after you've done a lesson. And then I'm gonna show you how to embed a video. Does that sound good? That sounds like it would be helpful to you, yes? How to embed a video. And then I will also show you how to create a slide from scratch, and then you'll get your assignment. Cool? Okay, the last thing I want to do before we leave is go to your student screen, and I just want you to take a minute to reflect on what we've done so far. Okay, what we've done so far. And just your biggest takeaway, or most important thing you've learned. The slides can be read aloud to my spec ed kids. Yeah, and if they want to hear your voice, remember you can read it out loud with the audio button too. I love the level of student engagement. Were you guys engaged? Were you engaged in this presentation? I hope so. It seems like you were. We can do a ton. How to hide and show responses. I can do everything I need to in Pear Deck. I can use it with kindergarten with drawing and picture answers. Absolutely. Learning about the combination of settings for students. Everything can be here, the hub. I love that you can embed Flipgrid. The embedding thing is dope. Awesome. I think we can switch between teacher lead and student lead. Yes, yes, and the translation feature. Answers are anonymous. I'm confused by all of this. Okay, you're not alone. There are people who are very, you haven't used technology a lot. Maybe you have only seen this one time. Hook up with a buddy. That's okay. That's not a bad answer. You're here and you're learning, and that's what it's all about. And just doing this one time with a friend in person to show you can make a huge difference. So just get together with a friend, one step at a time. Your assignment is going to be very much baby steps, okay? So that's okay. I'm gonna acknowledge that. I like the switch between teacher and student mode. I can use this and get started. All of the amazing templates that are available, the versatility. This gets all students involved. Awesome. So great feedback. I can't wait to make my interactive notebook truly interactive. Guys, this is amazing for interactive notebooks. If you were doing like the paper pencil interactive notebooks, this is a great way to do this. And I'm going to show you one other reason why. So some of you said that you're grieving the loss of a program that you used. And so this can really help. And using that Google Classroom will be beneficial here too. Okay, so we'll talk about that a little bit later. All right, so versatility, variety, you guys are amazing. Okay, so check this out. At the end of a lesson, you want to click end. Is everybody with me? Okay, we try to make it pretty obvious. So once we've ended a lesson, we can click end. And then I'm going to name this Fun Day with Pear Deck. And then I'll just put the date on here. Today is 8/28, 2020. Okay, so now see this little awesome button that says Publish Student Takeaways? You can push that, and guess what? This is going to send a copy of all of these slides with your students' answers in them. Okay, with their students' answers in them, you can put this out. Okay, and they will get this, and it will have your feedback, and it comes in a Google Doc, and it creates a classroom, just a folder in their Drive, just like Google Classroom. Okay, so this is an awesome way to do that, and I'm just going to click save and end, and that's why this interactive notebook thing is amazing, because now they get a copy of all these notes, and guys, now they have something to refer back to. How many times do we do digital formative assessment in the digital world, and our students have nothing to go back to reference, right? What did I get right? What did I get wrong? If you're doing student-led conferences, this is amazing to put in your student portfolios, okay? So I'm going to just click return back to Google Slides, and boom, I'm home, okay? So now, let me show you, take about 1 minute and just stretch. And I'm going to pull up peardeck.com, so take 1 minute and stretch. stand up. This is a good modeling too if you're teaching for your students. If you're teaching for your students, I want you to make sure that every hour or maybe 45 minutes or half an hour that you're giving them time to stand up, stretch their bodies, and do all of that. Okay. Now, you have premium. I'm going to say this just for recording purposes, that if you log into peardeck.com, you can get a free trial of Pear Deck as well. So, yes, it will save for teachers in a folder as well. Yes, you're going to have this to refer back to. Promise. You'll have this, and I'm going to send out a student pace deck, so you'll actually have the student pace deck to go out and use as well. Okay? So check this out. Come on back to me. If you're not back yet, I'm going to stretch too. I am standing, but I'm going to stretch for a quick second. Okay. So on peardeck.com right now, I just want you to watch again, and I'll have you do this in a second. I'm going to click on teacher login. Okay. I'm going to click on teacher login. And I am going to go to sessions, and it will show me all of my different sessions that I've done. Okay, so these are a bunch of different schools I've worked with, things like that. So check this out. This is our session today at 9:23 a.m. that we did, okay? And it is closed. Remember, I ended that session and it's closed. Now check this out. I can go export all of your responses to a spreadsheet, but there are two types of responses. Drawing and draggables are not going to show up in a spreadsheet. Does that make sense to everyone? That one's a little difficult. But open-ended response, multiple choice number slides, which is where they put in a whole number to answer a question. It'll show up on a line on a grid. You can export all of those to a spreadsheet and have that to reference back to. If you don't have that, you can just click on the dashboard and go in and see it anytime. So literally, I click this button. My dashboard will pop up and I am back in and looking at all of my students' things, and I can still leave them feedback even though they can't get into the lesson right now. Does that make sense to everybody? Now, let me show you one little dashboard trick. Let me show you a dashboard trick. These responses are automatically sorted by time. Does everybody see that? So in this case, Christina answered first. In the next slide, Joey might answer first, or Nicholas, or somebody else, okay? So that way they can't pin it and be like, ooh, Christina's answer is always first, okay? So this is shuffling it by the slide, but when you're going to look at data, it's helpful to have them in alphabetical order, right? So I'm not like searching for Christina's answer on every slide. So you can actually go up here and just sort it by student, okay? And then it will put them in order by first name. So that way it makes it a little bit easier to get to all their data. Cool? Okay, so that's your little trick. And then if you want to see a roster of which students are in your session, you can actually just click here and it will pull up an entire roster of all of your students. Sweet. So that's how you do that. Now, let's say that I closed this lesson, but I had 2 kiddos who were absent, or I've left them feedback and I want them to go back into here. Okay, I've left them feedback and now I want them to go back and look at it. What do I need to do? In order for them to go back into that lesson and be able to scroll through the slides, what do I need to do? I saw somebody mouth it, turn it in student pace mode. Is that what you just said? Yeah. Yeah, turn it in student pace mode. So check this out. I click on the 3 dots. I can reopen my session and turn it in student pace mode. And now it's in student pace. So if you guys go back to that link we just put in our Google Classroom, you know, if I'm doing this for my class, or that I put in the chat or whatever, you can now go right back into it and go through it. See your feedback. Then I would leave your students a note that just says, hey, I left you feedback. Go check out your Pear Deck. Cool? Is that good stuff? Just 2 clicks of a button, I can turn it into student pace mode. And then if it's done and it's due on Friday and I need them to be done with it, I can just click end session. Okay? So that's how to use peardeck.com. I want to take 1 minute here and I just want you to do that real quick. I want you just to go to peardeck.com and log in with your teacher login. And you're just going to pick your school that you're at. Just log in with your teacher login. You should have a pretty crown on your head that says you're premium because your school is premium. If you're logging in from the recording, you can go in and click on here and it will say free trial or upgrade. Okay, so you can go in and do that and get the free trial. Okay, so just go in there, do that, and then type in a yes in the chat. Type in a yes in the chat when you are done with that and you've gotten in. Y'all are fast. Great job. Well, that wasn't good. That was my heater crashing on the floor when I moved my chair up. All right, it looks like most of you are there. So once you've done that, go ahead and come back to my teacher screen here so that I can show you a couple of tricks. Okay? Everybody good? Give me a smile if you are. Oh, now I can make my Zoom screen big and I can see all of your beautiful faces. There you are. If you turned your camera off, turn it back on so I can see all of you. All right. There you all are. Hello, gorgeous people. There's somebody, I can't see your name, but you look just like my friend Penny. So I'll have to do that later. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. All right. So we're going to do how to put a video into your slides, all right? Everybody needs to know that. That sounds like it would be helpful. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna add a new slide, like I'm creating this from scratch. And remember, they see your slide on the left-hand side of the screen, and then they see the video on the right-hand side, okay? So I'm gonna give them direction of what I want them to do. So maybe I'm doing a health class and I have a video of students, doing, I don't know, different things, or, we're talking about peer pressure or something like that. And maybe I wanna say, watch the following video and tell me what you think the students, could have done differently. And maybe I want to say you will answer on the next slide. Okay, so whatever you want them to do. Maybe I say watch the video of how to do this problem and demonstrate and show your work on the next slide if it's a math video with like a Khan Academy video or something like that, okay? So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna put the directions on here. Now, what am I gonna click over here? Remember, I have these custom slides. If I wanna put in a video or an ed puzzle or a website or anything, what am I gonna click on over here to make this a link that is embedded into Pear Deck? Go ahead and type it in the chat. What am I going to click on? Open edit response, multiple choice, website. Christine got it. All right, so I'm going to click on website, and it's going to ask you for what you want to put in here. Okay, so if maybe I'm going to put in peardeck.com. Okay, maybe I'm going to put in, and it'll show you a preview that this is working. Okay, so this is the peardeck.com website. If you're using Flipgrid, you can just put in flipgrid.com. And again, it will give you, it takes it a second to register, but then you'll see that this is working and they can just enter their join code. Maybe you put the join code on the actual slide. Okay, so this is how you can do that. If you're using a YouTube video, so let me just go over here and pull up YouTube quick. Okay. And this is a Pear Deck session, so we're just going to go ahead and pull that up. So this is 201 from Tracy Pitts. So when you're ready for new things, go ahead and pull this up and do Pear Deck 201 Beyond the Basics. This is really, really good. Okay, so check this out. Now, when I want to share this, when I want to put this into my Pear Deck slide, you are going to want to write this down. Okay, it is not hard, but you do need to know how to do it. It just takes a little trick. When you are putting things in Pear Deck, you have to embed them, not just put a link, okay? So I'm gonna click on share and do not copy this URL, okay? This will not work. If you copy this and you go to put it in your Pear Deck slide, you're gonna get a sad face. This is not working, okay? So on YouTube, you have to go to share and you have to click embed. Embed. Everybody got that? Those are the first two steps. There's one more. Share, embed, and then the last little trick is you just need this little section between the quotation marks. Okay? It is not hard. Go to YouTube, find a video, and just do this 3 times, and you will have it down. It only takes a couple seconds. You just have to do it twice to remember how to do it, okay? So you go to YouTube, you click on share, you click on embed, you copy this little section between the quotation marks, come over here, and now we're happy. And it will preview and show you that the video is working, okay? And then you just click update slide, and boom, you are good to go. Cool? All right, that's it. And then any websites that you have, most of them, as long as they're embeddable. There are a couple of websites out there that are not embeddable, but then they have embeddable pages on their site. So you just have to do a little bit of playing with it. Okay, Screencastify, when you record a Screencastify video, at the bottom it actually says embed. So there's actually a little link that says embed, and you just copy that one. You can even do that after you've edited it. If you have to edit your Screencastify video, you can embed that as well. Okay, so the last little thing I want to show you here is how to create a slide from scratch. Okay, I just want to give you some quick tips on how to create a slide from scratch. We're going to go, we have a lot of high school teachers in here, right? So we're going to go with high school science for an example, but if you're a kindergarten teacher and you want to talk about labeling the parts of a puppy, think of this in terms of a puppy. Or any social studies teacher, think of a map where you want your students to drag their dot to identify parts of geography or where a battle happened. Or science, maybe it's the parts of a cell. So we're going to go with that. We're going to create a slide from scratch. Are you with me? Okay, sweet. Just a couple more things, I promise. So all I want to do, I don't have anything on this slide. Maybe I didn't find, by the way, the science templates are amazing. All right, but maybe I didn't find something there that I wanted to use. Okay, so I want to create one from scratch. So I'm just going to go to Insert Image and search from the web. Okay, Google will automatically bring up images that are not copyrighted. So you don't have to you don't have to worry about that. But maybe I want to say picture of a cell with no labels. Okay, because I want my students to label the parts of a cell. So maybe I'm going to maybe I want to pick this one. All I have to do is grab that image and pull it over. Okay, this is more like Google Slides tutorial instead of Pear Deck, but you get the drift and this will help you. Cool, so that's all I did. I grabbed an image off of there. And if you exit out of this, it will still leave Pear Deck up here. Okay, now what I want my students to do, I'm going to put the directions in here just in a text box, and I might say, drag the red dot to the cell wall, drag the green is not going to be a good color, but drag the purple dot to the nucleus, drag the orange dot to the mitochondria. Okay, so bonus points for spelling mitochondria correctly. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. Now, if I want them to drag dots, what kind of slide am I going to turn this into? Pretty obvious, but I want you to answer anyway. Draggable. Okay, so I'm going to click on draggable. And I wanted to show you this because this has tons of different options in it, more than you would think. Right now, we're just going to use dots, but I want to show you what else is in here. So check this out. We have all these different options. We have flags, hearts, thumbs up, thumbs down, like lines, arrows, math symbols. What if you just put a 1, a 2, and a 3 on the slide itself? And then you insert 5 math symbols and you tell them to drag the right ones to the right place to finish the equation. Right? Because you can put up to 5 on a slide. So that's a cool way to do that. Greater than, less than, equal to. Absolutely. You could do like 50 greater than, less than, or equal to problems and get that quick formative assessment from your kiddos. Maybe you're working on first, then next, last. First, then next, last. You put pictures of all the different steps of how to do something and have them drag the number to put them in order. Maybe you're getting to know your kiddos virtually and you put a map of the United States up and you say, put the person where you have lived before, the building where you live now, and the navigation symbol to where you would like to vacation. And what a great way and a great icebreaker to get to know your students, right? This is how one of my social studies teachers figured out that he had kids in his class who moved here from different countries. We had 3 kids from different continents that we didn't even know were in that class until we asked a question like this to our students. Great way to throw those in, not just for the first day of school, but throughout your whole time. And then we have punctuation. Put up a bunch of sentences, right? With 5 punctuation options and say, finish the sentence, drag the punctuation to the right part of the sentence. So great way to use that. So, but for today, we're just going to use dots. So red dot, and then all I have to do is add another. And again, you can do up to 5. Okay. So I only need 3. So I need a red dot, I need a purple dot, and I need an orange dot. And you can see where they are and you can change the size of them. Okay, you can change the size of them. And then I can see them there. And then all I have to do is click update slide. Watch Perry do his little dance. And this is now a draggable. Awesome. Remember that hemisphere slide or that map slide that we did earlier in student pace mode? This now looks just like that for your students, and they have these 3 icons to drag. Okay. Are you ready for your assignment? You have homework today. It's Friday. I know it stinks to have homework, but I promise you can do it and you'll be really excited. Everybody ready? All right. We all know as teachers, if you don't use it, you lose it, right? If you don't use it, you lose it. So your job is to go into Google Slides today. Some of you are thinking, I have existing slides presentations and I want to add bell ringers to all of them and I want to add warm-ups and I know where to put in a video and I'm going to go do all of my stuff and make a whole unit into a Pear Deck. Go forth and Pear Deckify your life and be happy, okay? Some of you, like my friend earlier, are overwhelmed with everything that's going on. And you see the power of this in your classroom and you see the power of this to engage your students, but you are overwhelmed. What I want you to do is just create 2 slides, whether it be an existing presentation that you're going to throw something into, okay? Or 2 slides by themselves and that's all you're going to do with your students. Baby steps. Everybody got that? 2 slides, 1 template and 1 custom. I'll give you a cheater for the template. Go use the one that I used earlier and have it say, what do you wonder about Mrs. Cooper? Dangerous question to ask your students, but hey, it's good. All right. What do you wonder about Mrs. Cooper? Just ask them that question. There you go. I just gave you your first slide and bonus points if you put your own Bitmoji in it. Okay. So, all right. So go do 1 template slide. Maybe it's that what I talked about, put a picture of a map in and ask them where they used to live or if they've been, you know, in your area their whole life, whatever it is, 1 template and 1 custom. Can you guys do that? Maybe you put 3 things you're interested in on your slide. Like I like fish tanks, cycling, and robotics. And you ask your students, do any one of these things, drag the dot to the thing about me that interests you the most. And they have them drag that dot. Okay, so those are lots and lots of different ideas of how to just get to know your students virtually. Or if you're, you know, once we're in the class, how to do that. Okay, so what we're gonna do for the next 6 minutes, got that? What we're gonna do for the 6 minutes is I want you to actually go and do this. Okay, so if you have an existing Google Slides presentation, because I want to answer some questions if you have any problems, okay? I at least want you to go into Google Slides and get the add-on open before we leave, okay? 1 second and I will answer questions, okay? So 1 second, I promise I will answer questions while you all are working, okay? So if you have an existing presentation, then I want you to go ahead and open up that presentation. If you want to start from scratch just to play around with this right now, open a new slideshow. I'll give you a little tip. If you just go to your URL browser and type in slides.new, it will pull up a new slideshow for you. Did you all know that? How many of you I just blew your minds? By the way, this works with sheets, docs, forms, all of it. That's your Google tip of the day, all right? How many of you always have to go to like Drive and Create and New and Google Doc? Yeah, all you have to do is type in docs.new and you've got a new Google Doc up. Yeah, that was your free Google tip of the day. All right, so same with slides. Go to slides, open up an existing slideshow or something like that. Thanks, Jacob. Okay. Somebody type the first step to open the Pear Deck add-on. First of all, make sure that you are signed in your school email, because if you are not, it's not going to work. Okay, you won't have it. All right, so you're going to go in here. Somebody type a yes if you have Perry already in your menu bar once you get to Google Slides. If you don't, it's fine. We'll work on getting, okay, Christine does. Okay, several of you do. Awesome. Okay, so if you have Perry in your menu bar and you've installed the Pear Deck Power Up, you're going to click on Pear Deck. Okay, just click on that and open it up. If you don't have it, you're going to go to add-ons, Pear Deck for Google Slides add-on, and open the Pear Deck add-on and get at it. Okay, so that's what you're going to do next. And Kelly, what is your question?
Thank you so much, because I was wondering if it's from what you said, it sounds like it's possible. I want my students to type written responses and I know they can within Pear Deck, but then I want them to be able to revise and add on more later. So what I was wondering is, can they open it back up in a regular Google slide?
Not, I mean, you could assign them the actual Google Slides presentation, but what I would do is just have it as an open-ended response. And
Yeah.
then if you leave it in student paced mode, once you've given them feedback, they can go back into this at any time just through that same link, and they can go revise or add on or whatever.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I should have
Yeah.
thought of that, but thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. This is all new. You shouldn't have known anything. So that's a great question. Um, How do you get it on there without having to click it each? So this is the Pear Deck Power Up. So if you don't have that, let me put a link in the chat. That's what I like, having Perry in my menu. I just grabbed the link to this, and then you guys can open this and it'll show you how to. Oh man, that's not what I wanted. Okay. Accidentally. All right, here is that. Okay, there's the Power Up. If you don't have it already, it should be there. And then that way, when you go to slides, you just click the Pear Deck and it will open right up. Can you view a student's entire set of slides with drawing answers individually, or do you see students' answers for each question? Every student's answers. Right now, it's every student's answers for each question, but we're actually working on that right now. Okay, we're working on being able to see individual student slides. You could open that individual student's takeaways, because you get a copy of those takeaways. So you could open that and see them individually. Absolutely. But yeah. I have the Autumn, but the Pear's not in the menu. Okay, I just answered that one. How do I save it and get a codes for kids to log in? So remember way back to the beginning of this lesson? Remember way back to the beginning of this lesson when I clicked on the green Start Lesson button? That's how you're going to generate that code. So when I click this, it's going to ask me if I want to run student paced or teacher mode. And when you pick one of those, it automatically generates that unique code for that class. Okay, or that session. Cool. All right, hopefully that answers that one. Was all of this in the original email that the teachers received so they can refer to it later if they need to? The add-on and the extension should have been something that the tech team pushed out. So I think I sent that in my follow-up from our kickoff call or something like that, but I can send that back out to you to send to the tech team to have them push out to teachers. I can do that. Yeah, so more lessons from the Littles library. Yes, we have. So we have a few in there, and those are to generate ideas. And remember, you can edit those. So remember, like which sounds begin with the letter B. You could just use this one, and you can take out the B and put in a D and swap out a few of the images really quick, like I did earlier with the cell one. So then you're still using that template. Yeah, absolutely. And there's tons of kindergarten ideas. My kindergarten teachers a lot of times use things that they already have, or using this one, filling in the middle missing letter. Because remember, when you're filling in the missing letter, you can then just start changing out the images and the letters too. So you can use those in several different ways. Okay. Twitter is also a great resource. Twitter is a great resource to be able to pull these. So I could say, I can make this into a D and take this out, and then I could insert an image of a dog and put it right next to it. Okay. All right. How do I take a picture and upload into Pear Deck? So that's just if you have a picture on your desktop, then you can just pull it into your Google Slides. Does that make sense? So you can do that. I've got about 1 more minute, and I do have to hop to another meeting. But yeah, if you have your own pictures that are stored on your drive, you can just go in here. If you go to insert image, it will ask if you want to upload from your computer. So you could upload the picture from your computer. If you have it saved on your desktop, if you have something saved on your desktop, you could actually just grab it and drag it up here. Yeah, so that'll help. Okay, so remember to tweet your favorite thing about today's session. I'll put my contact info up here. Rochelle and I will work together to come up with, like if you have a Q&A, if you have questions about anything, our Pear Deck knowledge base, let me give you a link. And then just open this up in the browser so that you have a bookmark of it. And we'll send out a review of training materials and things like this. This is help.peardeck.com. Okay. And if you go to here, anything that you search for, it has videos and instructions and help, and everything is hosted right here. Okay. So this is a great, great resource to find answers to your questions. If you have things you can't find answers to, then just we'll collect those, and then maybe we'll do another powwow here in, you know, a month or so. And we'll do this in another month or so, and I'll do like a Q&A demo, and I'll answer your questions. So, but if you need anything specific, you can always go to the help.peardeck.com. You can email help@peardeck.com if you're running into technical issues, just because I won't get back to you as fast as they will. But you're welcome to do that. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. So, and you're welcome to email me if you come up with something that you're super proud of. Please share it, because I love to share things with other teachers and show them what you're doing and get ideas from you and how you're using this in your classroom. Okay. So have an awesome day. Thank you so much for a wonderful morning with you all. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Go enjoy your weekend and do some self-care. Take care of yourself. I'm really excited for you all to get started. Share with your friends, work together. Remember, anything that you create, you just share in Google Slides. You just share in Drive like you would anything else with your friends, okay? And then they just open Pear Deck and they can use it too. So work smarter, not harder, and use your teams. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a great Friday. We'll see you soon. We'll see you again soon. Bye. You guys have great energy too. You guys were really fun. I appreciated all the smiles and thumbs ups.